And sporting that nice number 107 Neo, the Galaxy's Tachyon Dragon is not Neo. I win with scissors. Because scissors always win. I'm facing Mr-Edge777 here. I was messaged by him a couple days ago. He reminded me of the fact that we dueled before. I don't remember which number of duel it was, but we dueled before. And he apparently made me famous, according to him. Like, yeah, just type in my username on the YouTube search bar. So I did, and it was like 3/4 of the videos that popped up were me. And my conclusion was that we dueled, and that was the first. Our duel video was the first one that popped up, and the rest was just related videos since his YouTube might not have a lot of videos. I don't really know. But yeah, I'm using frogs here. I've had this since just before Duel 100. I plan to use this against the famous YouTuber, but I'm like, I'm looking for some new decks to try, and I have a couple of decks, and I really want to try this, and I thought, I still have the hang of this deck. Thing is, I noticed during this duel, at one point, or multiple cases, I'm just doing this, and I hope that I'll get to something, and I'll think of a good combo along the way. Unlike the fact that I know the combo beforehand, and know exactly what to send and when. Because maybe it's just the hand that I started with. It wasn't really what I usually start with. It was like kind of meh. But yeah, frogs, like what to send with swap frog, how to use swap frog is like the main card, and the rest what you send around it. Like this frog deck is a bit different than what you might normally see. This one has Feng Wang. This one has Malevolent Catastrophe. I suppose that those were the heavy storm replacements that I'm testing. Feng Wang, okay. Malevolent Catastrophe, not so much. I'll probably replace that with like Compulsory or Bottomless, Torrential, Dimensional Prison, something. But Feng Wang is doing its nice job. For the rest, I have Wetlands in here so that the frogs can attack themselves. I have Fishborg, whatever it's called. It's a level 2 fish monster. You'll see it in the deck. I have Destiny Hero Diamond Dude and one Elemental Hero Neos Elias. I have Polymerization and Absolute Zero, and I also have Death Frog, but the Death Frog written with 3, which is 3 Death Frogs. Now, I do have, I believe, 3 Death Frogs in my deck, although it might also be 2, I'm unsure. I have 2 Tadpoles, but there's a part of an effect that both Ronin Toadin and Dupe Frog have that are forgotten because they're barely ever used. They're treated as Death Frog while face up on the field. And I use that, mostly with Ronin Toadin, to have him on the field with like 2 Ronin Totems and 1 Death Frog, or just 3 Ronin Totems, as we'll see later in this duel, to then be able to use Death Croaking. Death Croaking is a very, very powerful spell card, which destroys all cards the opponent controls. However, you are required to control 3 face-up Death Frogs on your side of the field to be able to activate it. So, getting the Death Frogs out was somewhat difficult, which is why Death Croaking was made, because it's difficult to get out. With Ronin Toadin and Dupe Frog, this was made a little easier, and I wanted to use that. And since I decided to also use Death Frog, the fusion monster. I'm not really sure how to pronounce that one other than Death Frog with a 3. I decided to run that. It's 2500 attack, not great, but it gains 500 attack for every Treeborn Frog in the grave, which happens quite often. For the rest, it doesn't have any additional effects. It's just really for power and just for fun to get an extra fusion monster out that you barely ever see. So I like to do that. I also have Destiny Hero Diamond Dude. It also works with Death Croaking because it goes around activation requirements. Since you activate it, you activate the effect of the spell and not the spell. You skip the activation requirements / the cost. You only do whatever happens upon resolution. Because you only have to pay the cost if you activate the spell, but you don't activate the spell, you activate the effect of the spell as Destiny or Diamond Dude's effect. So if you are able to reveal Death Croaking via Diamond Dude's effect, then you just destroy the opponent's field in the next turn. Now the opponent's playing Battling Boxers, brings out Lead Yoke, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I didn't know too many cards that could do it, so I'm like, okay, Malevolent Catastrophe is not gonna do it, especially since I just had Feng Wang getting rid of his traps. Catastrophe is not gonna do much. I'm like, okay, what can I do? I can think of Dark Mist, and I can think of Death Croaking. So I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll do that. Death Croaking for one, Dark Mist, I'll see what I can do. So I believe here I was like, okay, Swap Frog, normal summon, send Swap Frog, use Salvage to get the Swap Frog and the Rodent Totem in my hand to do some more sending away. Now what I forgot here, like this is one of those things that like I'm not as used to the thing anymore. I could have just sent any other frog really, and returned the first Swap Frog that I had on the field, the one that I normal summoned, return that one to the hand, send Rodent Totem, return it to the hand, send the other monster. I would have had more on the graveyard, I would have had more to work with. But yeah, I haven't used the deck for a while, I haven't really... it did make for, I guess, a little more of an exciting duel, in a sense, because it was closer. I would have been able to push more, I would have had more options to play with. Would I have known really how to play, but I didn't really, so... I just played with what I could think of at the time. As I said, I'm really just doing some combos here that I'm like, I hope that I can get to something good. Just like Treeborn, Dread Croaking, what's really my best option? I don't really know, so I'm like, okay, I'll just send more with Swap Frog and just go for it. I wasn't really sure what to do. So with more practice, I'd definitely be a better frog player. I like the deck, especially this variant anyway. The normal frogs, I guess, for frog monarchs, they're nice. I quite like the monarchs, and I can definitely see why frogs and cards like Battle Fate are using that. But I definitely like this variant with a few different cards, with the Death Croaking, with the Death Frog with a 3, with Wetlands. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to draw into Wetlands. I really would have loved that. There's just some of those options like that I would have loved to draw into, but I just never did. Maybe because I misuse of Moray of Greed, because I didn't really use that too well, like I feel. But if I would have drawn into Wetlands, I would have definitely had more options, because I would have had a lot more attack power. If I would have drawn into any of my Diamond Dudes or my one alias, then I would have been able to use Polymerization with it and fuse into Absolute Zero. Now, Absolute Zero would have attacked Lead Joke, dealt some damage. He would have detached, would have been stronger, but then I would have been able to do anything. And like if Absolute Zero leaves the field, destroy Lead Yoke, it would detach again, but then it wouldn't be able to survive anything anymore. So I would have loved to have that as well, but yeah, I just didn't draw into it until I believe the final turn of the duel. That's when I draw into Diamond Dude, but yeah, that's kind of too late, which is unfortunate, but you know, those things happen. Here I set Malevolent Catastrophe. Was not a good plan, because I was like, okay, maybe he'll come with a new trap or something. He does. He has something to get around Dark Mist. It's compulsory evacuation device. I hadn't really considered the option of that being there. And I also forgot that I have a Treeborn Frog in my graveyard, and that it requires an empty spell and trap card zone to be able to actually summon itself. And I'm going to realize that in my next standby phase. I technically have already clicked main phase, so in a rated duel someone would be able to be like, oh yeah, you forgot you already went to main phase, you even clicked the button. So then, in that case, I would have lost that argument. I wouldn't be able to summon it, but I wouldn't be able to summon it anyway because I have a trap card on the field. Yeah. Now this turn I am able to get a nice combo off and do some fun things, though. I have a couple of cards in my grave. I'm like, okay, what can I do? Hey, look, Treeborn Frog, yeah. Oh, wait, never mind. Now this is what I see in my grave. I see 2 Swap Frogs, 2 Ronin Totems, and a Treeborn Frog. Treeborn Frog and the 2 Swap Frogs are able to be banished for Ronin Totem. I'm like, wait a minute. Check Swap Frog's effect. It can send a card from deck to grave if it is summoned. It doesn't say special summon, normal summon, flip summon, it just says summoned. So I summon it with Surface, send any card that can be a target for Ronin Totem's effect, and then like return Swap Frog, normal summon it again, use my normal summon for the turn, send Ronin Totem, or in this case first Ronin Totem, then the target, then banish Swap Frog, Treeborn Frog, and whatever I send as a target. Special summon all 3 Ronin Totems, because as I said earlier, Ronin Totem is treated as being Death's Frog while it's up on the field. So I'm like, okay, Death's Frog, I don't have any tadpoles in the grave either. Not gonna use them. Banish it, summon Ronin Totem, banish Treeborn Frog, summon Ronin Totem, banish Swap Frog, Ronin Totem. 3 Ronin Totems. desk croaking in there, destroying stuff. So headgear goes down. Lead yoke is able to survive. Lead yoke was at 1900 attack, I do believe, so now at 27. Yeah, because I halved it to 11, then you get 800 to 19. Now he's at 2700 attack, and I'm like, oh dang it, I have polymerization. I wanted to use this frog, but I just banished my tree-born frog. Now, would I have used my swap frogs better and my salvage earlier, then I would have been able to have another, or one or two more frogs in the grave. It would have been a tree-born frog likely, and I would have been able to go over it with Death Frog with the 3. So then I would have done that, but now I'm like, okay, Dark Mist. Dark Mist overall, probably the better card over Death Frog with a 3. But I wanted to use that because I just did like Death Croaking. That Wetlands are really are in my version of the frog deck, and I really wanted to use all of them. Unfortunately, Wetlands I didn't draw, and the opportunity to summon Death Frog with a 3 to be able to use him properly didn't present itself, so that's unfortunate. But alright, Dark Mist attacks Lead Yoke, uses its effect, gets half his attack, so Dark Mist is now at 1450. So with Swap Frog on the field, looking pretty good. Now I could have just returned Swap Frog to the hand, which I probably should have done. I believe earlier on when I summoned Dark Mist for the first time, I made sure I didn't summon another monster, whether that was Swap Frog or Ronin Totem, I don't remember. But I made sure not to summon something else so that he would be forced to tank to Dark Mist, and he couldn't like just attack Swap Frog or whatever else, destroying something for free while not like losing his monster. I should have just returned Swap Frog so I would, 1, be able to use its effect again next turn, and 2, not take the damage, because this might have just been the thing that cost me. But yeah, it's a combination of me not playing too well with this deck. I could have definitely done better, and some small mistakes like this that cost me. So Blaster can't exactly do much against Dark Mist. I get 1400 of his attack, so Black Mist, the Dark Mist is now at 2850. Blaster's taken out, damage is dealt, but what really can I do at this point? I'm like, I can set Tadpole, but really what am I going to do? I decide to keep it in my hand to 1, force him to attack Dark Mist, and I'll get a free hit on Tadpole. Like, if Tadpole would have been a frog monster, I would have been able to banish it for Ronin Totem. I would have probably set it, but I kept it in my hand for use with a Moray of Greed that I had. So would I draw into another water monster, then I would be able to just put it back. But I get Mirror Force, I'm like, oh no. Okay, what do I do now? I have Malevolent Catastrophe, which I can use to take out a set monster. But he knows I have Malevolent Catastrophe, I believe. No, he doesn't. But he knew earlier that I have Feng Wang, and he was able to counter with Torrential Tribute. Like, okay, what do I want to do with Mirror Force? If he attacks, he probably is not going to attack Dark Mist, so then I won't be able to use Malevolent Catastrophe anyway. If he is able to somehow, if he is going to declare an attack, then he likely has already found a way around Dark Mist. So then I want to destroy his monster with Mirror Force, because otherwise he's going to win the duel with either having negated Dark Mist attack or just a direct attack, whatever he did. Like if he has Dark Hole, I'll need the Mirror Force. I'll place Mirror Force, and then whenever he attacks, I'll just chain Mirror Force and Malevolent Catastrophe together to take out both his face down and whatever monster he has at the moment. So that is the plan, and I have Dark Mist that can do some good. He makes a mistake there, which gives me an advantage in a sense. I want to attack, I want to do something good. I draw into Death Croaking, I'm like, no, I can't summon that right now, just give me a water monster so I can use Moray of Greed. But no, not at this time. I'm like, okay, you know what? I might as well attack. There's not really a lot of other things that I can do. I intended not to use the effect because I knew that was Phoenix Chain. Like, what can I really do? I decided to use the attack, and it was only upon activation of Phoenix Chain that I realized, oh wait, now my attack is back at 100. That's not good. But I thought, okay, Malevolent Catastrophe, chain with Mirror Force, still that same plan. That way, his monster is gone, I'm at 100 attack, but his Phoenix Chain is gone, and I can use it again later. However, when I activate a trap card, he has the ability to respond first. He plays with a Spell Speed 3 card, and I am unable to chain with a Spell Speed 2 Mirror Force, and Mirror Force and Malevolent Catastrophe can only be activated in the chain in direct response to the attack declaration and not after that. So, due to his Dark Bribe being spell speed 3, I'm unable to use Mirror Force, and his monster stays, takes out the Dark Mist, and I lose the duel, which in a sense is unfortunate, but it was a fun duel. I have some practice to do with this deck, I suppose. Mr-Edge777, thank you for the duel, and I'm going to see you guys later. Bye.